Order in the court.
Welcome back to the Kingz Court Wrestling Order. I'm King Leo Picasso, and we're back with episode 2. Told y'all I'll be right back on y'all. Today, we're talking about wrestling outside of the big two. A lot of people think that there's only just like 2 companies that you can watch, when there's actually a big variety of different companies you can watch when it comes to wrestling. I definitely have had my eyes open to all of the different companies around wrestling, and it's been an absolute treat to be able to see all of these different companies. One of the first things I did after, having my experience doing press when I first started this whole journey and doing this and creating a channel and the website and all of that other stuff, was I was able to go to a local show, and that kind of really opened my eyes up to that there's more out there than just sitting back watching WWE or AEW per se. There's a lot more to the landscape than that, and when I approached it, it was like, okay, well, I want to do press, but then I ended up getting invited to this smaller show by a friend of mine, and we were like, he was like, you watch wrestling, I know you went to WrestleMania, do you want to go? I'm like, yeah, I'll go. Let me grab my cameras, I'm getting into this press thing, let's go check it out. I'll get some film, see if I can get in there, do some press. So upon my surprise, I go in there, I see all of these great women. Now this was UWW, the Ultimate Women of Wrestling. This was run by Rampage Jackson. They're still around. I haven't seen any shows lately. They were supposed to come back, but it was such a great experience getting to see these women wrestle that night, even though it was on a smaller show. It was on in a small bar, but that place was packed, and it was absolutely fantastic. And the pops that these women were getting, they had fans already. It was so great to see like all of the people in that room just watching wrestling and enjoying it for what it was. And it was an all women's league. That was what was extra special about it. I got a chance to meet RVD. He was there supporting his wife Katie Forbes. I also got to meet Chris Hero that night, and then there's a lot of people on that roster that I didn't know that were actually bigger than what they were. I got to see the Renegade Twins, who I thought were absolutely amazing. That was my first time seeing them wrestle, and I left that night like, oh, they are going to be big. They're going to be some of the next big things in wrestling from me personally that I enjoy. Then I also got to see Viperous. Who else did I see that night? Rachel Ellering was there. There were a lot of great ladies that wrestled. Now, ironically, for this trip, when my friend told me about the trip, I looked at the card to see who was going to be on there. I didn't recognize anybody except for Harley Cameron, right? And we all see what Harley Cameron's becoming. So my initial draw to go to the show for sure to lock me in was Harley Cameron, because I had seen her on AEW. Now, we're talking about a year ago, Harley Cameron, when a lot of people didn't even like her, but I saw potential in her just because she made me laugh while she was on TV. And now she's doing the same for everybody. Last year, a lot of people couldn't stand her, but I see that she's grown on everybody. And she just had a great match this past weekend. So the next night after the show, I catch up on some AEW wrestling, and lo and behold, I look in the ring. Guess who I see? I see Robin Renegade fighting Jade Cargill in one of her last matches in AEW. So now I'm like, wait a minute, I just saw this girl last night. I got her on, I filmed her. I got her on tape. So then you guys already know my stream mate teammate. I show her the video, and she's like, oh yeah, a lot of these girls are over in AEW. So that leads me to be like, oh wow, they're in AEW. And next thing you know, she shows me Ring of Honor. Now, I've heard of Ring of Honor. I've seen bits and pieces of Ring of Honor on TV or on YouTube per se. And I was like, over the years, I've always heard of Ring of Honor being this place of prestige and everything like that. And AEW had bought Ring of Honor by this point. So I'm watching it, and I'm noticing a lot of the girls that I saw on that show. Over time, I would see them come through Ring of Honor. I definitely see Robin Renegade wrestle there. I got to see definitely Rachel Ellering wrestle there. I saw a lot of different people that I would see on this show, even over time, even till to this day. Tony Khan hires a lot of these women. I see Viperous and a few other wrestlers there a lot of the times. Even some of them come through NXT. That's to say that you really have to look outside of just the big 2 companies. Now, everybody everybody grows up and they watch their thing. I grew up and in my time it was WWE, and then I found WCW later. So I'm a product of the WWE and WWF and WCW era. I've always followed WWE, so that's always going to be in my DNA, is to be a WWE guy. But I've come along to enjoy AEW as it came along, and I've really gotten into it. The person that got me into it, you can go over to @WrestleTati. She does great reviews, and she got me more into watching AEW, to understanding the ins and outs. And not just AEW, there's Ring of Honor that I learned about. Then the next thing you know, I'm watching New Japan. I'm looking at Stardom, CMLL. I'm learning about these different things as I started to do more live streams for wrestling, and learning about the whole, and doing my press runs and stuff like that. And I'm getting outside and going to different shows, and I'm learning about this whole world of wrestling outside of just the small bubble that I was in with just WWE and AEW. As I watch them on TV, you get to explore all of the up and coming talent. This is where I think that UWW show showed me that I actually like the smaller promotions and started and love watching talent being grown into wrestling versus actually the people on the big, the big stage is going to always be the big stage. You're going to watch that, you're going to enjoy it, but watching talent get cultivated is always incredible, even watching talent before they even get here. And that's why I say the tribalism stranglehold holds people back from getting outside of just the big two. Like, yeah, you can love your companies that you like, but outside of WWE and AEW exists the places where they find talent, like New Japan, Stardom, Ring of Honor, TNA. There's new companies that are entering the chat. You've got Ashe Wrestling, you got Fourth Rope that's ran by West Side Gun. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing that. His champion is Zilla Fatu. If you follow Zilla, he has his own channel on YouTube, but he also has 3 championships. You got Hog Wrestling, HOG, owned by Master P. A lot of people don't even know that. There's, you hear about all of these different companies. You got MLW, you got MLPW, you got Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling. There's just so many different companies that all of these guys come from and around the world. Don't kill me because I'm not naming every company and I might miss your favorite one, but I'm just naming some that's right off the top of my head that I watch, that I check out right now. And there's a lot more. So, people have to break out of this bubble and know that there's more wrestling out there than just the big two. Now, the big two are the big 2 stages that are on there. We have to give Tony Khan his credit. I definitely give Tony Khan a lot of credit for broadening and bringing in people from CMLL, bringing in New Japan, running these events with his company, with them, the Forbidden Doors, and going over. Wrestle Dynasty was just this weekend. Wrestle Kingdom 19 was this weekend. I can't tell you enough of how much I enjoyed that live stream. Enjoyed watching Very Cute GM's live stream. You guys can go follow her on her channel. She definitely did a good job covering Wrestle Kingdom 19. Then me, her, and Tati covered Wrestle Dynasty, which was absolutely fantastic from top to bottom. I enjoyed it. The key to a good wrestling show is definitely being able to tell a story in that ring, and I've got to say, there's a certain appreciation that I have for Kenny Omega versus Gabe Kidd. That was absolutely the match of the night. It stole the show. It stole the weekend of wrestling. If you watch wrestling this whole weekend, and that's coming off of WWE having the first SmackDown that went back to 3 hours, that was absolutely fantastic with Nia Jax, and we'll discuss that later. But Kenny Omega versus Gabe Kidd was absolutely fantastic. You get to see Gabe Kidd. I've seen him over in Ring of Honor. I've seen him on AEW a couple of times having short matches, but that match between him and Kenny Omega, this is Kenny Omega's first match back. Listen, if this was his first match back and his last, he went out on a fantastic ride in that match. He gave it his all. Most people, they're grading it. I'm pretty sure Dave Meltzer got his star system ready, but his star system has nothing on Tanahashi's tears, which is how I'm grading this now. However many tears Tanahashi cried after that match tells you how good it was. His appreciation, I can't interpret what it was what made him cry over this match. We've seen fans cry inside of the match, but to see the president of a company cry over how good a match was, and and what New Japan, and hearing the story that New Japan had to go through to rebuild their roster because it's been depleted, from what I understand, by the bigger companies, by AEW and by WWE. The stars wanting to move on and do other things and come stateside and wrestle, it got depleted. And in the beginning of the match, you got to see Gabe Kidd say that, hey, yo, this is where I want to wrestle. This is the New Japan is where the best wrestle for me. And you get to see Kenny Omega, who definitely was a big New Japan star before he came stateside and decided where he was going to wrestle, which ended up being at AEW. You got to see him go over there and give them a fantastic show for this show. So again, you know, people have to look outside of just the American market even, and look around the world. There's wrestling going on every day of the week. We're in such a good space that 2025, in my last video, I said 2025 is going to be the biggest year for wrestling. There's promotions everywhere. Now, we can be either one or two things are going to happen. Either the tribalism is going to continue and people are going to be tired of it, or wrestling is about to have one of its biggest years ever. Me, I'm banking on it. I'm doing my best as I create these videos to hope wrestling has one of the biggest years ever. I'm going to do my best by doing my press, doing everything I can, going to these companies, making sure, even from WWE down to the newest companies like Fourth Rope, Ashe, making my way around the country is my plan this year, one way or another, to go to all of these different promotions to make sure people get to see how much good wrestling is out there. I want you guys to go check out each one of these companies that I mentioned and pull them up on YouTube, pull up videos. They're all there. Definitely, you know, spend if you have it. Some people don't have it. You will find your way to watch it. We call it watch it from parts unknown. But check out some of these shows so that way you get interested in it. And maybe you'll want to invest your money into a New Japan World subscription or a TNA Plus subscription, or even investing into a buying one of these pay-per-views, because some of these companies, they can't operate from week to week. So like Ashe Wrestling, you know, I always make sure that I invest in buying their shows, and it's like $17 for a pay-per-view. I'll make sure I spend my money on that. Now, this is year 2 for me, or going into year 3. In April, it'll be year 3, April 4th, since WrestleMania 39, that I decided, like, okay, I'm going to do this. So that'll be year 3 for me. It'll be going into my 3rd year. It'll be my 2-year anniversary. If you're watching this video today, this is my 1-year anniversary of streaming, from starting my live stream journey. And so, you know, I'm definitely celebrating. So as you guys, you know, discover more wrestling like I did, and hopefully you want to discover more wrestling out there, do your best to lift some of these companies up and promote them, and check out some new brands. You know, there's a lot of, like I said, there's a lot of different brands out there. You still got Booker T's ROW that comes on. It's syndicated in some places. I catch it on YouTube to catch up. You know, WWE and AEW, that's not to take away anything from those two. Those two are where everybody wants to come. Either you want to go to one or you want to go to the other. People in both companies want to trade. I definitely enjoy NXT as one of my favorite products. I think NXT has the best women's division. NXT wouldn't have that women's division if it wasn't for places like CMLL and places from New Japan and from all over the world, from Stardom. You look at Julia, you look at Zarya, you look at Stephanie Vakir. They come from those different places, and you wouldn't have them if it wasn't for those other companies outside of WWE. So again, listen, get outside of the big 2 bubble and start watching wrestling. Look around in these companies, discover where some of these people come from, just as well as you can Google some of the stuff that you like. I'm pretty sure a lot of you do love Stephanie Vakir if you're watching WWE. I'm sure you do love Camille. I'm sure you do love Queen Aminata. I'm pretty sure you do love the Young Bucks. The Young Bucks just finished wrestling over in New Japan. I'm sure you do love Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins has a vast library on Ring of Honor. If it's not anything, if you want to see some classic wrestling, you can get the Ring of Honor subscription. Definitely go over to Ring of Honor. They definitely need your attention over on Ring of Honor. There's so much great wrestling happening there. This is why Athena's been champion for 2 years, and she's been holding on to that title since she left WWE as Ember Moon, and a lot of people haven't even seen her run. But to watch her run from 1 year to the next, she got the cover for one of my digital covers. You can follow No Dirt Sheets on the website at NoDirtSheets.com, just as well as the channel here there's no dirt sheets. Make sure you like and subscribe. Of course, I'm gonna go ahead and plug it, but definitely go over and check it out. I'm on socials. I'm active on X. I'm active on Blue Sky. I'm also active on my own website, which will be back up and running again. I took quite a bit of a break. Definitely took that holiday time off, and now it's time to get back to work over there. But I implore all of you guys to go over and to watch more wrestling this year outside of just the big two. If you have the spare time, but you might find yourself enjoying some of these other companies and seeing some of these other people and appreciating it just that much more, and maybe it might break that tribalism stranglehold being had over everybody. You're arguing in between two companies, hoping for the downfall of one company. I don't want either one of these companies to fail, let alone the trickle down that happens to these other companies and these other people that are building wrestling, that have loved wrestling their whole lives, hurting the talent. It hurts them the most, because then it takes away a place for them to be able to even work. You understand? We want the talent to be able to work so we can have new talent. The more places there are to work, the more new talent that we'll be able to see, and this thing can go on for years. Like I said in my last video, I definitely don't want to see WWE go back to the Stone Ages, and I don't want to see AEW leave TV. I don't want it to see it fall into a situation like TNA was in back in the day. TNA is definitely getting built up. It was good to see AJ Francis actually re-sign with TNA. Need to keep talent over there. You know what I'm saying? They don't all need to go back and work in one place. We know the dream is to work in one of the big two, but seeing some of the talent stay where they are to keep building the brands where they are, it'll make that place bigger. Then when it's time for them to move around, then they will. But that's my wrestling order for the day in the King's Court. I definitely enjoy doing this for you guys and providing these, my commentary on it. Hopefully you guys do enjoy these videos. I'll be back tomorrow with another one. I don't know exactly what it's going to be just yet, but if I had something to say about it, will be through the premiere of all of these new shows on streaming services, WWE, on Netflix. So we'll see what happens after that. AEW had their premiere on Max last week, so I'm ready to talk about both of those things, but we'll see what happens when we get there. And thank you guys for coming through. I'll see y'all next time. Peace.